Should you stop eating coconut if you want to lose weight? The answer is it depends. I'm going to explain why in today's video. Hi, I'm Alex Hall, DNA fat loss coach, and before we dive in, do make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. I'd love to know what topics you want me to cover, and of course, if you're enjoying the content so far, please go ahead and give me a like. I'd really appreciate that. So, let me tell you my own story regarding coconut. Okay, that should give you a little bit of flavour, allow you to kind of make a little bit of decision yourself. So I was eating a lot of coconut. It's a very healthy, satisfying, delicious food that I enjoyed. Okay, it's full of lauric acid, which is an antiviral properties. It's full of medium chain triglycerides, which actually get processed slightly differently in the body. Okay, they basically go straight to the liver to fuel you up. They're kind of a rapid energy source in a way, which is strange from a fat compared to say sugar or something. I was having full fat coconut milk in homemade curries, right? A little bit of curry powder, full fat coconut milk, a little bit of chicken, throw in some veg, you're away, and it's absolutely delicious. Highly recommend it. And I was also cooking everything in coconut oil, okay? It comes in a jar, it's solid at room temperature because it's saturated fat, but I just spoon it in, delicious, kind of gives everything a little hint of coconut. Really, really nice. Goes especially well in stir fries, if I may add. When you want kind of that exotic hit, should we say. It goes well with ginger and these different spices like garlic and stuff. But at the time, I was struggling to lose fat. Okay, I was training 6 days a week in the gym. I was taking 6 Tupperware boxes to work every day, right? My day was meticulously planned. I knew exactly what I was going to eat. I was having high protein. I was eating plenty of vegetables. I was ticking every single box out there. I was eating healthy foods, right? I was eating all the foods that I'd read and had heard were right for me, okay? The kind of things that I should have been eating. I was giving myself adequate energy, but not too much, and therefore I should have been losing fat pretty easily and pretty sustainably. But let me tell you this, it was just hard work. I don't know how else to say it. It was a bit of a grind, right? I was doing all this training, I was eating, all these kind of weighed out meals. Everything should have been going really smoothly, but it was just hard work. So a couple of months later, I did a DNA test, okay? A simple saliva test, sent it off in the post. A couple of weeks after that, I got my results back, and I was a bit confused. I had a poor response to saturated fat. Okay, so to provide a little bit of context, saturated fat mostly comes from dairy. The meat and fat is typically saturated, so animal fat is typically saturated fat, but also coconut. Okay, so some of these other sources not necessarily the healthiest kind of forms of saturated fat, but coconut, with all its benefits that I mentioned earlier, that's a health food, right? Coconut is a really healthy, nutritious food, very satisfying, very delicious, and tons of health benefits. But based on my genetics, my DNA, my body did not respond well to those saturated fats. Basically what was happening was all of that saturated fat that was coming in was essentially getting stored as fat. My body had a high propensity based on my genetic variations to send that fat to be stored as fat, which despite my calorie deficit and managing my calorie intake and everything, it made the fat balance shift slightly, so just making progress really, really slow and steady. Now what I also had, so my results, it told me my saturated fat response based on my genetics, which was poor, but it also told me my unsaturated fat response, which was beneficial. Okay, so these are the fats like olive oil, the fats in nuts and seeds, the fats in oily fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, these sorts of things. Okay, so I decided to make a really simple shift. I simply swapped out where I would normally use coconut. Okay, it was normally where I'd use coconut oil specifically, because I was using that for a lot of frying, a lot of cooking. Pretty much all my dishes I was using a couple of teaspoons of coconut oil. I would just swap it out for a really good quality extra virgin olive oil, or even a rapeseed oil. Okay, really high in omega-3s. And what I found when I made this shift was, this was like the only thing I was changing. I just want to clarify that. The only thing I'd changed was coconut oil to olive oil. I reduced the amount of coconut I was eating overall, but I'm pretty liberal with my amount of olive oil. I'm half Italian, so it's in my DNA, should we say, right? It's been how I've raised. Olive oil goes on most things. So it's actually a bit of a shift away when I started to use coconut oil several years back. So I made that shift, coconut oil to olive oil, and things just got easier. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just, I was doing almost the same thing, still working out, still measuring my foods. But fat loss just started to happen. And then when I was trying to gain weight, trying to gain muscle, I just stayed leaner with like absolute ease. It was just so much easier eating in a way that suited my genetics. And it felt good too, right? When you eat in a way that is specifically designed for you, things just get a little bit easier and nicer and more enjoyable, and you feel better for it, right? I've spent so many years constantly pushing, trying so hard to work against my genes. I was totally ignorant to the fact I was working against my genetics. I was eating all these foods that, especially coconut, just did not suit the way my body wanted to run, or the way it should be running optimally. But now with the insight that I've got, just a simple shift here and there, little tiny tweaks, it just runs a lot more smoothly. Think about it this way. You could try driving with the handbrake pulled half on, okay? It's quite hard work, the engine's probably revving quite a lot. You're struggling to get up hills. It's just hard work, a bit of a grind, because you've constantly got this friction of the handbrake on your tyres, okay? Release that handbrake. Smooth sailing, right? Eating for your genetics is like releasing the handbrake. If you're curious to do a DNA test and learn how to release that handbrake for yourself, check out the links in the description. Go across to my LinkedIn profile, drop me a message, check out some of my content, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.